Hey guys, this is Tina B.
And Charmaine G.
We're here to talk about the messiness of life. It's ugly.
And it's raw.
It's real.
And it's a freaking game.
It's whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole!
This is us.
And our gift to you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Here
wackos.
2021. We have been gone for a couple of weeks.
Question.
Yes.
How long is it going to take you when you're handwriting the date to get it right? How many months into the year?
Yesterday was my first day back at work, and I all day.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
And I did it even in some notes, and I thought, boy, that would be dangerous if we went back and looked at some. If I went back and looked at some notes that said a year ago.
You meant it was yesterday.
Yeah, totally. and then I couldn't remember if it really was yesterday.
I usually get it right around August.
Bravo.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so we took a break over the holidays.
Much needed break. Not from you wackos, but from life.
Yeah, it seemed like every Tuesday over Christmas break with children and with demands of the season, my in-laws came and visited me impromptu for a couple of days, which was really... Well, they brought something. My husband made a purchase, and he brought it. They brought it.
Neat.
So anyway, that's the deal. They came for a couple of days before Christmas. We did a little gift exchange, and it was really quite wonderful. But there was things like that just continued to... The holidays can be unpredictable like that. People stopping by, commitments. I was behind on my shopping because I had that whole week that I didn't do anything but watch Friends on the couch. Remember that? So now we're back, and it's 2021, and as always, we've chosen several things, wonderful things to talk about, and the nation and the state of it have determined what we're going to talk about today.
Seriously, we were about to, we had a lineup, and we come to an understanding, 2.5 hours ago?
Yeah.
2.5 hours ago, reroute, because it is crazy in the nation right now.
Tuesday, January 6th, 2021. And it's the capital of our nation is under siege. Yeah?
Yeah. It's a peaceful siege though. I can tell you they're only limiting what they want us to see. So to be honest with you, it's all PR. It's all what?
It's already one person dead.
Yeah, there is.
Well, all I'm saying,
a young lady.
And IEDs found on the Capitol property.
IEDs.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't
How'd
hear
they
that.
even get that close? They have gates that are like...
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
they were on the scaffolding that was up for the inauguration.
They were sitting in the chambers. They broke into everybody's offices. They were walking away with Nancy Pelosi's computer.
Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't watched it since 8 o'clock this morning.
It's
They broke
over.
through.
It's a big deal.
They were all over the House and the Senate. Like protest, they went inside, inside the chamber.
They broke windows, climbed in. They were on the scaffolding that was set up for the inauguration. These Trump supporters.
No, really, dumb. That's not true. They're not supporters. No.
I can't wait for my partner to get here because
Trump supporters
turn on your
sieging
TV.
Congress and going in to riot to what? Overturn the election?
Yes, it's all about the counting of the electoral votes.
Yeah, today was the counting of the electoral votes. And then right before the whole thing, Trump had a rally, and he's like, go down there, and I'll meet you down there, or something like that. Also, Giuliani talked about it being, I used the word being a combative or in combat today. So
yes, he did. I heard that as well.
There were some incendiary remarks today.
Okay, but I also know that Trump tweeted, stop.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he more than tweeted it.
Then Twitter removed it.
Nope, they left it on there.
And he also...
No, he tweeted it. It's just that you're not allowed to retweet it.
Oh, my God.
So here's some pictures. Here's the dead lady that was killed. She stormed the Capitol building.
Oh, my gosh.
They had guns drawn
on
the floor. Yeah, it's not good.
Like, I'm not lying to you. I'm literally in shock right now. What the hell is going on?
It's going down. It's
Yeah, we're scrolling through some pictures here. So there's the
We
National
are.
Guard all ready to go. There's a bunch of National Guard. So they have a 6 p.m. curfew in
Yes.
D.C.
And there's thousands of people on the streets.
And you missed all this?
Yeah.
Come on.
I was literally disconnected since 8 o'clock this morning because we were just finishing up on the Georgia vote.
Look at the guns being
drawn.
pulled. Guns drawn. We're looking at pictures, slides that our producer Sean D has pulled up on the screen.
We'll be posting them online later.
Yeah, we can. And I'm sure everybody has seen these.
That's Nancy Pelosi's lectern that somebody's walking away
Hey,
with.
good on her.
Somebody-
Take it.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
So there's a picture of a guy sitting in her desk.
Yep. Here's a guy. He's standing
What
standing
a
on the
disrespect.
Gerald Ford
I don't
statue.
care whose side is who. There is no humanity going on right now.
No, look
you
at
guys.
that. This is horrible.
Okay, wait, like we're in a trance right now because we're chanting
I know.
on a
And-
screen and we're
okay.
not even having
So-
content.
so
Oh yeah, and
this
then
is-
you're missing was it Man Bear Pig? Who's there?
Oh, I didn't.
Man Bear Pig? You guys know Man Bear Pig?
Hashtag
So
man
this,
bear
this
pig.
shirtless guy with crazy tattoos. He's got horns on his head. He's got red, white, and blue face paint, and looks like I don't know what are those beaver tails or raccoon tails?
Yeah, raccoon tails.
with devil
It looks
horns
like
coming out.
and then like the Viking horns.
Yeah, the Viking.
Oh, yeah,
coming
this
out.
guy-
This is in Nancy
Oh, my
Pelosi's
God.
office.
This is Pelosi's office. Just some guy with his. Was that a machete?
Did they evacuate everyone?
Oh,
Did
yeah,
they
it's-
heed warning that they were coming?
Yeah, I think they closed, so they got everybody out of the chambers. and then
That's
they,
the stage that they were on earlier this morning. Is that the stage, the scaffolding that you're talking about?
No, there
Well,
was
the-
scaffolding outside of the building in preparation for the inauguration on the 21st. So they started to scale the walls and got up on the scaffolding that was outside of the Capitol.
I'm scared to death right now.
I know it's not a good thing. They broke windows on the outside and all started crawling in there like it was a mob. They were screaming to
Where
get
is
into the
freaking
floor of the
control? Where
Yeah.
is the lack
Well,
of
they
control?
they failed. Security has failed
well, both
miserably.
Both Trump and Biden have made comments. This was, I think, a couple hours ago. Trump basically said, "We stole the election, but just go home. You guys stole the election, but
Yes.
go home." And Biden came out and said, "Hey, this is not how we run America."
Wow.
So
So
What a way in history to look back and see the changing of the guard right now.
well, it's a good way to start 2021.
Sean,
Come on, think about it. 2021.
one.
Ah,
Got it.
Okay.
Uncle Walker, your Walker.
So
That
I would like to play devil's advocate, okay? We know our wackos should know by now where Charmaine stands politically. I have not made a complete determination on that only because our show is not a political show.
correct.
And I like to take stabs at both sides. I like to ask questions that will induce answers
Conversation.
and debate.
yeah.
Because I
Respectful
love
debate.
conflict. I run towards it, not away from it.
Respectful. I mean, and this is
Yeah,
the
totally.
part that I think's been lost.
Yes.
This is shocking because of the heightenedness of it, but we've experienced this immensely the entire year of 2020.
Totally.
And when it says we all have a voice and we all have a vote and people feel like they don't, and then they just go out of control to get their voices heard.
Okay, so this is an observation
I can't
for me.
even think
Earlier
right now.
in the year, with in the wake of George Floyd's death, the stuff that was going on in Washington and Oregon, and I mean there was a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement was huge in 2020. Okay, now we sat back and watched that and saw that there were. It was easy to say, "Oh, the left is out of control."
Yeah.
Okay, they're nuts, and look at us, we don't do that, and la 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 la, all this stuff, right? Which may be true. I don't know. I mean, that's just me on the sidelines looking in, right?
Well, I think everybody looks for something to blame.
Absolutely. So then now we didn't really see. We saw peaceful protesting. We saw the Trump train, from the right. We saw that in our own community, the Trump train. Every Sunday they were, it was always peaceful, always. The gathering
Here,
that
in our
we
little
did,
pocket
Yes.
hole of in the country, but I think it was like a rated G version of what's really going on in the world. Maybe even like a negative G.
But now, after today, the right can no longer sit back and say that they have been nonviolent in their protesting, because clearly they were off the rails today.
I will interject right now.
Please.
Those people do not represent me. Okay.
Greg
And
said the
that's
same thing.
unfortunate because you have a movement going on and everybody's passionate about whatever it is, if it's BLM, if it's COVID, if it's back the blue, if it's the election, our rights, blue versus red, Biden, Trump, all these things that are just dividing the crap out of people. That behavior does not represent my beliefs, my understanding, and my who I am to the core.
Nor does it mine, and it doesn't matter what side is doing that. I feel exactly the same way. We live in a free country. Mm-hmm. We live someplace where we have freedom of speech. We get to protest. That's a constitutional right that we have.
I got to talk about your freedom of speech.
Okay.
Trump's been banned from Twitter for at minimum 12 hours and could be banned permanently.
Okay.
Wow, is this just breaking news?
And that is breaking news.
Yeah, so
okay.
CNN.
What rules? I mean,
Well, they feel
that
he has incited this rioting. He has incited the rioting by he did record. Let's stand opposite.
I'm at it because right now there's been so much freaking inciting through social media outlets. Every step of this contentious 2020, every step, paid people to do it. Blood money going through our country to wreak death. In my opinion, I just think that there's no holding back right now. So Trump is I can't swallow that. I'm not swallowing that. Twitter, lame on you.
Okay. Now see my stance, which is probably going to be opposite of yours, which is spicy and wonderful on both sides between us.
I'm sickened right now.
I am too.
Who's here?
I feel, this is a guy in a hoodie, a North Face hoodie with a goatee.
Oh, I bet it is. Da-da-da-da, Gregory.
Hi, Greg. My husband is here, my beautiful husband. And we also should say, now that we've made the announcement that Gregory is joining us, we have
my
Charmaine
lover
has a guest here with us as well.
My lover's here.
So, okay, so you missed the beginning. Put those on, honey. And then we are talking about this whole thing. Sean,
are you scared? I mean, we have children in this world right now.
Oh my goodness.
Are you scared?
Oh,
Yeah,
another
I am.
piece of information. He's been banned from Facebook for 24 hours, and his tweets are being deleted. And YouTube is removing his videos.
Okay. Well, that's
good
funny.
times.
I mean, that is such. Where is the freedom of press, the freedom of speech?
That's a private entity.
Okay.
You don't know. You don't.
No, it's public.
No. Twitter and Facebook is a privately owned business.
When did Facebook go private? It's always been public stock.
No, it's not. No. It's a private business. They can do what they want. It's not government. Government is not infringing his speech.
No, he's right.
I don't care because there's been so much. I'm okay with the private. I'm going to say shit. But however, though, you have literally so many things that have happened like this, and now he's the one that gets it.
I agree with you to a degree. I hear what you're saying, and it's valid. Let's just regroup really quick so that we can bring him in. You guys have heard me talk about my husband, Gregory. He's a rock star. He's sitting next to me right now.
Debate the shit out of her, Greg.
And we already this afternoon clashed about this. This is my question, and it's been my question all of 2020. Okay. Sean just put up on the screen to refresh Charmaine and her guest.
Refresh it.
Well, to show her because
Yeah.
she hasn't turned on the news since
8
8 o'clock
a.m.
this morning.
I was
so
just
she
trying to
didn't know.
incite.
Yes. Sean, this is my husband, Greg. Greg, this is Sean.
Hello.
So this is the deal. Say hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Okay. So, you're so cute. He's so shy.
I'm saying hi to all your
To the wackos.
listeners.
To the wackos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
So we're talking about the shit that's going down in our capital right
The
now.
revolution.
Yes, and I know, as I have explained to them, that you have a very strong, solid stance in this, and have since
in what
2016.
Politically.
Politically.
Okay, yeah. Not in what happened today necessarily. I'm still trying to process that myself.
Well, yeah. Well, we're discussing it, so you're going to have to put in your 2 cents. This is my question. Back to this is what I have said, and he's heard me say it in our home over and over and over. How I'm speechless. How long are you guys going to defend Donald Trump and some of his antics? Now, I'm not saying the guy's rotten to the core. I'm not saying that.
I have no timestamp. I don't agree if there is inciting of followers or the Trump trains and all those things are different. What's been happening for the support of Trump has been different until today.
Okay.
Bullshit, Sean.
I mean, I'm looking at okay, right now, here's another article I found. Trump mob storms the Washington governor's mansion as protesters surround Texas, California, Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, and Kansas state capitals.
What is the source?
When?
This is Daily Mail.
Okay.
When today, though.
Today, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you, Tina, that now there is no holds barred, meaning that everybody's been saying the blue has been causing this divide. And, when it comes to all these current legislation and things that are happening behind our doors. I mean, I think I wish most of our listeners, as well as our constituents and our electorals, would realize what's being passed behind all of this visual that we're getting. There's so much dirty work going on.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think the question is still valid.
You're right.
How long do you support this individual?
Of this moment. Okay. I do not support... No. Trump, I have to say, I'll get back to you on that because I don't support this behavior.
Right.
I don't support this behavior.
So
you're saying
this has been slowly growing. We've been watching this happen in nuggets for the last 5 years, 5.5 years. Okay, 4 years of presidency plus a year and a half running. We've been watching these things happen. Okay, and it's escalated exponentially since the election. Do I dare say it's fact?
Do you think exponentially since the election?
But
I think there's two sides.
How many people? How many of the voting places were stormed? How many people broke into those things? You have the Democrats. You have Pelosi's house that's being vandalized multiple times. You have Mitch McConnell's house being vandalized. These are all things that have happened.
Definitely breaching.
Yeah,
this is
all within the last week, 2 weeks or so.
Okay, but I also say what's been going on for the last year. Okay, because the Black Lives Matter movement actually, and the death of
George Floyd.
He honestly, that was the initiation. I mean, it wasn't in 2016. There was so much leading into this escalation.
It's getting
right
worse.
Now.
It's worse now than it's been. That's obvious. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's always been
Contentious.
bad. It's been contentious. It's been divisive, and it's been his rhetoric is insightful.
Where is okay? How do I say this?
And when you have a president
Where is our
saying
freaking law right now? Like, we have law, we have to abide by it, or the consequences are in place to keep things like this from happening. The justice
part of the mob patriots today.
I know.
So
hold on though.
Law.
I want to say something. So right now, local,
I'm stunned.
local
Greg hasn't
for
said
the
one
state
word.
of Utah.
I'm stunned.
Okay. I don't think a lot of people, including myself, enjoy the antics of Donald Trump. I know you mentioned that word earlier, Tina. I don't. The guy can be a bully and he can be a dick, and I don't think there's for me, I don't support that part of him. I think that one reason he has drawn so much popular support from many, obviously at least 75 million Americans, right? This time around is because he's exposing the deep state, if you will. There's a swamp in D.C. He's exposing the media. We've known for years, even before Donald Trump was elected president.
They only will let us see what we want to see.
I agree with that.
They're not the mainstream media, as they call it. They're not journalists anymore. We're getting frustrated with that. Some of the Trump supporters are, I think, frustrated with how they're viewed through the eyes of mainstream journalists. But he's back to Trump. He's pro-military. He's rebuilt the military as it was, eviscerated, not completely under Obama. He is a pro-capitalist, and that's what this country is about. He loves our gun rights. He loves all the rights that we enjoy under the Constitution. And I think that's why he's so appealing to many Americans. I think most Americans he's appealing to. But yeah, the guy can be a jerk for sure, but I think he's standing up for a lot of traditional American values.
I would agree with that. My difficulty comes in that I don't know if this is childhood trauma, issues with men, call it whatever the hell you want to call it. When I hear some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth about women, like during his debates when he was debating in 2016 with Carly Fiorina, like things like that, I have to step back and go, okay, so let's really look at this guy's character. Now, I would agree with Greg that he's made some changes in our country. He hasn't failed miserably or, and he set a precedence because he's our first president that's not a politician. So, there's a lot of pros and cons. When I'm listening to the news, when I'm teaching my kids, when I'm interacting with my kids or explaining something to, you have young children, school-age children. I have a teenager. It's difficult for me to go, well, he did grab the girl's pussy, but now it's like, okay, that he's running the country. Like, I can't, those two things are incongruent with my value system.
Sure. And you point me to a perfect man. You point me to a perfect person that has character, that will uphold everything throughout their entire life, that isn't going to come out during campaign.
Slippery slope argument.
Well, I'm just saying I'm not going to condone the bedside manner of President Trump, but I can tell you why my vote came through is the trust to restore our national debt. I believe that he is a strong businessman. He will freaking shut it down and take care of America first.
Nixon had more honor than Trump has.
Okay.
Ooh, Sean, that's big.
You know what?
That's a big fat ass statement you just made.
I like you, and I'm just going to say that and leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay.
But when you talk about character, we can go. Heck, let's just go back year after year.
Well, yeah. There's. John Kennedy and all of them that have secrets, and they have the skeletons in the closet. They have the demons. Character doesn't mean that that's the only part of a person that runs the country. There's got to be, in a sense, to answer your question, to back how long am I going to back them? Somebody that's going to take care of business. Okay. Do I entrust that to Biden?
That's
and
right.
Harris?
Let's get them on the trains and take care of business.
Okay. Well, when we go back to it, we have a big mess to clean up right now.
Yeah, we do.
What do we do about that?
We got to hug it out.
Coming from Sean?
Holding hands across America. Do you remember the campaign in 95? Hands across America with all the colors of different hands.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit. We may talk a little bit more about that. I wanted to...
Is your heart rate high? Mine is.
I can tell that yours is, and that's okay. We're going to go on a break, and you're going to take some deep breaths with me because I love you, and I will guide you through that.
Lamaze breathing 101.
Yes. All right.
I'm not pregnant.
Thanks, wackos.
This is Whack-A-Mole with Tina B and Charmaine G. Raw discussion about the messiness of life. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Whack-A-Mole. We welcome you back to Whack-A-Mole. Raw discussions about the messiness of life. Now, here are your hosts, Tina B and Charmaine G.
Whoa, you guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I am seriously, I take blood pressure medication. I'm so glad I took it today. I might take another one when I'm done. These topics are so controversial and heated for a reason, because they're going to affect us. They're going to affect our children's generation. They're going to affect decision making that's going to happen currently for us. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't about like seeing freaking things on fire in front of a building that can be restored. It's literally a shock that we're going to have to endure this type of thing that's happening in our world. I asked my parents this morning, has this ever happened before? Like, has there ever been in the line of history?
1814.
1817, actually.
1817. It was 8 on those when the British came and invaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad said, laughing.
Were you just talking about
but
that?
with all seriousness, he said, are you ready for another civil war? What side do you stand on?
I can. By the way, regarding today and the storming of the Capitol building, I understand their frustration. Not all the Trump supporters were there. The first images that I saw of it were they were getting into clashes with police officers. My dad was a police officer for 30 years, so I'm not cool with that at all. Fighting police, I think they're there to protect us. Are you a police officer? Yeah.
He's not saying a word. He's just shaking his head.
I'm not cool with that at all. Storming the Capitol building, smashing up windows. I mean, the guy was a clown that was sitting in Nancy Pelosi's seat, and the other guy that was sitting up on the.
It was kind of funny, I have to say.
I think he was sitting on the.
Disrespectful.
I don't know what the chair is called. I can't remember, but it was at the top of the Senate. I think where the president of the Senate usually sits. Sitting there. I mean, that's moronic, you know. Not a good move, and they've made a bad name now for Trump supporters.
Really,
it wasn't all the Trump supporters that were at Washington D.C.
I wasn't
and it wasn't
there.
all the ones that were in D.C. that were in the Capitol building, but they've made a bad name for all of us now.
I agree. Now, as we're like separating this and moving parts around, you have to say, okay, well, maybe these aren't the best Trump supporters. First of all, there's a hell of a lot of them. There's thousands of them, okay, that stormed that building and not just surrounded it, but they broke windows. That building belongs
Vandalism.
to America.
Right.
That's
why I said,
belongs
where's
to
the
people.
law and why aren't we upholding
Well,
it?
security clearly has failed in the White House. So my question is in the Capitol, sorry. My question is, Trump pre-recorded something on Twitter and let it go on that. Why would he not go in front of the people? He's been rallying forever. I mean, I saw him just last night at a rally in Georgia, rallying these people to vote and to all of that. And now today, when this shit's going down, why is he not rallying for these people to stop doing it? That's where the incitement comes from, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Your lover, what's your opinion? You're quiet, and you got a mic and a headphones, and it's on.
He's still breathing, I can see, and moving.
There's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
Think? Like how so?
Well, you just watched things spill over on one element that's been dormant in a lot of ways.
Do you
so
think
I think
it
that
was planned?
emboldens and empowers other people that have relatively kept it respectful. Now to me, they look at that, and you're going to have a group or a following that feel like it's okay.
So it's scarred now. There's a skid mark there for sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what did you call it on the break? You called it extreme.
So one of the things that we see in this is just like any group, you're going to have your extremists inside that group. So in this case, they're just on the right wing, right? Extremism is extremism. It's like, I would liken it to
Suicide
developing
bombing?
a bias toward Muslims because of Al Qaeda.
Oh, we had 19 guys, and all of a sudden the entire world hated Muslims.
You're right.
We have
But yet
thousands.
Nobody took the time to slow down and think.
True.
This is somebody that took an ideology and took a piece of it to an extreme, right? And in the way that they believe and interpret its philosophies and guidance, and then acted on that because they thought it was okay under that ideology. But all it did, like you just said, is scar an entire religion that's one of the biggest in the world. Yet it had nothing to do with the everyday Muslim that walks around peacefully and is generally very easy to get along with.
Yeah. So are you saying that this extremist and this behavior just green-lighted it to just accelerate throughout the nation?
It could. Yeah. I think you're going to, not necessarily, I don't know that it.
Like give them the permission, so to speak. Like it's on.
I think some people will sit and watch how this is handled. If we look at something that extreme where all it comes down to is a lack of respect, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if it's
and wanting
kitty-gloved,
control.
it's going to get worse.
How do we look to the rest of the world right now?
Like clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like a target.
Because
Like
one of
we're
the things that
weakened
we're
into
known
arms.
for in our democracy is respect. We can have difficult debate, but it's done in a manner that's healthy, conducive, and with resolution. So in this case, that's somebody saying, I don't care, to be an adult. I'm going to go act like a child.
You say
We
the
see
rest of
this
the
in-
world. I was thinking not just the world, but those who we consider our enemies. How do we look to Russia and China
Yeah.
and Iran? You know, the major players. You know, they're just looking at us going.
Yeah.
And of course, they're picking apart and they're making their own propaganda for. It's like, look at America; they can't get their crap together.
You're right.
Some of that's kind of true. I
I
think.
don't know if anyone's mentioned this before I got here, but there's also another element, I guess, to this. What's been going on? Let's not forget about all the cities and towns and neighborhoods that have been, for at least since May, that have been burned down and looted. People have been assaulted by members of Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
We
That-
did mention that.
you did
yes.
mention
We
that?
did.
Okay. In all
briefly,
fairness,
and that's
I mean,
my
that's-
heat is that this what side do we choose now then? What side? Just because the Trump supporters have embarrassingly,
that this capital
well, there we go. I feel
Sorry,
like a speech is coming on.
Congress has reconvened, and they're counting the votes.
So yeah, it's not going to there's not enough time in this podcast to even talk about what's going to go. It's still just such a developing story at this point. And it has been for years. It's been a developing story for years. Today, the shit really hit the fan as far as I'm concerned, because I have sat back and watched Blue Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter, and I've watched Antifa, and I've watched these riots and all this stuff, like I said before. But I never saw I never saw any extreme right-wing stuff like you just mentioned, and that we've just saw today. And it's disenchanting on one hand. On the other hand, it's just people expressing themselves and expressing their anger towards what we got going on here. This is a revolution. Something we're going to emerge from this with huge change. I mean, we're already a changed country. Blue and red mean something far different than they did the first time I voted when I was 18 in the early 80s.
Because I, to be honest with you, it's because the divide's been from within. I mean, we elect these people to represent our vote, our law, and our money. I mean, we pay taxes. We put into these decisions that we have put a lot of trust into them. And when they're men, they're women and men. I'm not talking about albeit, but that's a lot of responsibility to have. And if there's some untrustworthy things going on, if there's some backdoor deals happening, then that cultivation of evil is what we put our money and our vote into. So drain the freaking swamp. That's not a Trump statement, so to speak. That honestly, how do we find resolution at this point? How do we find resolution?
That is the biggest
question. Is it going to be
of
our
all.
own war to get that to happen?
Perhaps. What I see is the last 4 years since Trump has been in office, he's not conventional. He's not cookie cutter, okay? As far as how he addresses the nation, the things he says in his rallies, all of that stuff. And then you look at past presidents, and they're all very cookie cutter. This is my opinion. This is just character.
Well, yeah, they have speeches written for them.
Well, absolutely they do. And there's a certain status quo with that. That's just, this is what you do. This is how you handle yourself. This is what, But we had Clinton in the White House in the 90s, and, he was getting blowjobs in the back room.
Monica.
Okay. So
blue dress. You're wearing a blue dress. That looks good.
And it has nothing to do with him. Bitch.
Pretty blue dress.
No, but I felt a pulse over here right next to me by Lever that when I said, "Are we going to have to go at war?" What was that about?
I think ultimately, where did the paradigm shift occur where respect isn't something that is held in high regard?
So if you think we can find where that paradigm shift happened, that there can be a solution in that?
Potentially. I think when you ask a question like, do we go to war over this? Like, how many battlefronts do you have? Everybody has a different agenda. All it comes down to is look at an organization like BLM. What's their primary complaint?
They're not being heard. They've been suppressed.
They don't feel respected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of the stuff that falls behind that in some ways. Some of it is, and it's this way in a lot of things, right? They're not as
and what's
educated.
It going to take?
I shouldn't say that sounds bad the way I'm saying that. They have to educate themselves on the things that they dislike, meaning police brutality, for example. Understand why certain things occur the way that they do without just seeing it through a straw, that it's occurring once out of 1,000 times.
It's exactly what we were just talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Every community has its town crier, has its gossip, has its liar, has its cheater, has it, every community there's the good stuff, and then there's a mixed bag of bullshit as well. So with that, and we all know somebody in law enforcement. Okay, I'm related to people in law enforcement. Certainly, he is as well. His father was a police officer for 30 years. He's a retired cop, gun enthusiast, all of that. And so now, when you look at, how do you feel about like defunding the police? When we look at that,
what does that mean?
That means take money away from these people who are supposed to be protecting us.
And short staff us with protection that we need right now?
I don't know what the end game is on that. Do you have anything to say about that, Greg?
About defunding the police?
Yeah.
Well,
Can you shed light on that?
The first thing, since this is all on our minds, what happened today, they sure needed the police today.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's what I'm screaming. Like, we need protection more than ever. And I'll tell you what, when I said I sleep at night and I can actually lay my head to rest, it's because I know someone is out there doing the things that I can't. And there is training involved. And they have split-second decisions that put their lives on the line, that they're trying to do, honestly, not just the training, but decision-making with their own safety put in place, okay? So they can wake up the next day and do it over again. So bring the military, bring all of the people out of that's in active retirement. What is it going to take for the resolution to come at peace? Because all of the reputation of defund the police, to my understanding, at least on a state level, they want to shift the money into additional training so they can understand crisis, they can understand mental health, and not just their, tactics and protocols in place when someone's shooting a gun at you. try shooting a gun at me. I'm probably going to freeze. I'm probably going to get shot. I'm going to probably die. Mm-hmm. Instincts aren't there. Mm-hmm. This is ingrained for them to be able to protect. I can say that, we've had discussions about, him on the front lines witnessing this behavior. Is it peaceful? What do you see? What's going on? Just in my own little bubble that I live in, I'm not ignorant that it's not around me. But when you're actually having to defend and protect, it's a whole different ballgame.
And what does that mean to each individual, to defend and protect? I defend and protect my children, and that's instinctual because I'm a mother.
Sure.
For
true.
A police officer to defend and protect, that's an oath that they take on a third of their way maybe through their life, or, after they've already got a running start in life and have other experiences. So, who's to say? Who's to say what that defining factor is? Who's to say that? How do you feel about being on the front lines?
Right now, especially.
I would say it's exceptionally difficult to find a balance between protecting free speech, your right to peacefully assemble, those kind of things, and maintain order. Mm. We're wearing multiple hats, right? I speak on educating on topics. Mm-hmm. It goes our way, too. There's room for reform in law enforcement. It's a different game. Just in the last decade, it's changed a lot. But it's incumbent upon each of those sectors to find ways to better communicate to their communities.
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to, is they don't feel respected, and it's a vicious cycle, I think, every direction. You look at something like George Floyd. Everybody has their opinion on it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is decisions were made. How do we change that or keep certain things from happening again? Is it a training issue? Do we need to be spending more time training? Does more money need to be going to training? Because the way it is right now, everybody's understaffed and overworked, just like many other sectors out there.
Absolutely. And yeah.
So when you're making life and death decisions at times under fatigue, and maybe you don't have training, it's like sending every basic trained recruit in the Army into the Special Forces arena. Are they really trained for that? They might be able to get some of those tasks done, but can they do it to the same potential as that guy that spends hundreds and thousands of hours refining a skill set that gives them the ability to operate with extreme authority and independence?
Yeah.
In a way, it's no different in that obviously it's not a war zone, but in the sense of, we're going to give you basic training. You go through a police academy, you get field training, all these other things. Experience comes along the way. That takes time. But at the same time, what can we refine that's going to help us better understand our communities that opens that? Now, when it comes to something like today, again, I say it's that cycle. It boils back to respect.
And what did they think they're going to get out of that?
Mm-hmm.
What did they think that they're going to get out of that type of behavior?
A glory shot sitting in Nancy Pelosi's seat looking like an idiot.
Oh my gosh. How freaking embarrassing.
But it's disrespectful regardless of whether or not you like him.
Right.
That's not yours. Leave it alone.
That's how I feel about Biden. I mean, whoever is elected for years to come, I've been taught how to respect our country, because that's what's in jeopardy right now. I'm grateful for the honor that our country was built on all of the constitutions of freedom of speech, right to bear arms, all of these things that potentially get taken away from us and then get manipulated, and at the same time gets full force back every 4 years. It could be a whole different ballgame, And
4 years is never long enough to complete a task of that amount, like of that stature, of that, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a big thing. To reform something in 4 years is not long enough to reform big things like that.
It's not even off the ground up and running, in 4 years.
Right. I want to say thank you for being on the front lines.
You're welcome.
It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me.
What do you think
that people do that?
Our National Guard and our military, as well as local law enforcement's feeling when are they going to go home that night? When you see the riots and the fires and the just extremists Do you ever get worried that I got to hang my hat? Like you're a man underneath that hat.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would say we've seen a significant exit, if you will, of officers across the country.
Yeah.
But my argument to that would be, you swore an oath to protect, right? You have that training. Just because, and a lot of...
You feel disrespected?
It's not that I disagree with their decision to walk away. I would say you lose clout in your argument when you're the best that's trained out there to help protect. And you say, I'm more worried about myself. It's no different than making traffic stops in the middle of the night and hoping you don't stop someone that is there to harm or whatever that looks like. You stand in defense of that. And now is not a time for us to say, I'm going to meet my own needs first. Again, that's each their own. Like, I respect those that have the courage to say, I'm going to step away while on my own terms versus risking it and having their name inscribed on the wall in D.C.
That's unfortunate because there's so many names that are coming up right now with this murder and behavior. And it's unfortunate that young lady today, I'm ashamed for them. For the last 3 minutes, I think the focus on resolution is where we need to come together, not only in voice and on the air, but what would that look like?
I'd pose a question to you.
I'm listening.
What can we get done in short order? We look at something like what happened with Russia and interfering with the election, whatever that, that's been years. So now we have a group that is upset that ballots are being miscounted, manipulated, whatever that is. It's undermining our faith in our election process, but it's not something that storming the Capitol is going to solve today.
No.
We're not going to this will be years. I mean, it could be 20 years from now that a conclusion or a result comes out that, yeah, in fact, something was manipulated, or hey, here's the proof in the pudding, it wasn't. And then we look back and we go, that was a lot of damage, and for what?
And we just lost 4 years or 8 years or whatever. That
Colossal
absolutely.
Respect
damage.
those that are supposed to be or are charged with that task to find those answers. Give them that authority and leeway to do their job.
Right.
And in the meantime, be active. That's part of our right. Again, respect is the key word, I think, with you can still call your congressmen and your senators and vocalize that opinion, but we put them in that position to voice that for you.
Yeah.
Not go storm the Capitol and take a picture that makes you look like a buffoon.
No.
It's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you at this point. I mean, that's how simple the nature of humanity's got to be. I mean, the lack of respect, not only this kind of the behavior that's happening, you can be heard and you can actually have a positive result if you are at the table with your own solutions, your own thoughts, your own wisdom, rather than parroting each other, rather than mimicking this erratic behavior. Like, this is not a green light to light this country up. It serves no purpose.
No, it doesn't. And I think that we're all in this thing together. We all live in this nation. We're all in this. Humanity is in this shit together. And that suffering that's going on over there right now, we're stupid if we don't think that that's not affecting all of us.
Right.
In little St. George, Utah, or in New York City or DC or Seattle or anywhere. I mean, we're all in this thing together. And we need to get our shit together.
We need to get our shit together. We need to protect one another, and we need to be listening more than talking at this point.
Compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion. Wow, this was a lively discussion. I want to thank Mr. Gregory Jackson. Thanks for being here. And
you're welcome.
And Mr. Smith, I appreciate your appearance and your words. And then there's Sean D.
Sean D, you brought it in.
He did bring it in.
Just heated me up like a freaking hot cake. I'm telling you.
Let's talk after the show.
All right. All right, viewers. See you
Thanks,
next
guys.
week.
We'll see you next week. Whack-a-mole.
You've been listening to Whack-A-Mole with Tina B and Charmaine G. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on YouTube and subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us next time for, well, whatever may happen with Tina B and Charmaine G on Whack-A-Mole. This has been a production from a podcast studio.